Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, muy buenos días, and thank you for joining this first webinar of the World FZO organization. As you have seen, we have prepared a very rich agenda. I would like on your behalf to welcome our Chief Knowledge Officer, Dr. Mohan. Dr. Mohan, good morning from Dubai.
Good morning. Good to be here. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mohan. I'm also welcoming my colleague, Saskia Mosley. She is in Germany in the city of Kiel, and she's an economist of the World Economy, in the Kiel Institute of the World Economy. Hi, Saskia.
Good morning.
Okay, so let's start in the best way, and I'm honored and pleased to ask the chairman, Dr. Mohammed Zaraoni, the chairman of the World FZO organization, to introduce and open this webinar.
Dear industry colleagues, it is my delight to open this webinar with a topical theme, free zones, the way forward. The world as a whole has passed through a really tough time in 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic has wreaked havoc not only on human health, but also on the economic health of most nations. Yes, governments and central bankers have responded largely in a coordinated manner. Interest rates have dropped, liquidity has expanded, and stimulus packages have been the norm for economic revival. 2021 has brought a glimmer of hope. Vaccine is available, movement restrictions are being eased gradually, people are beginning to feel a sense of cautious optimism. Economic activities are reviving, though slowly. While some economies are recovering rapidly, example China, many would take time to return to pre-COVID levels, if at all. We know free zones have not been immune to the ravages of the pandemic. Well-set businesses have been disrupted, established global value chain, disturbed supply shocks, demand destruction, loss of business confidence, you name it, and it has happened. The scar left by the pandemic needs to be erased as soon as possible. Free zones have to return to their normal levels of activity. As they say, there is now light at the end of the tunnel, a year-long painful tunnel. I want to assure each one of the participants that World FZO is fully aware of the challenges confronting our industry, and at the same time conscious of the opportunities that every challenge produces. Where do we go from here? Some of the megatrends that we may see in this decade include Asia to the fore. The locus of growth will gradually shift from the west to the east, to Asia in particular. It is happening already and will accelerate. Rapid economic growth, demographic pressure, greater regional coordination, integration will be the key themes. Asian economies will be major producers and consumer of goods and services. Technology infusion. Technology will play an increasingly important role in economic activities and in daily life. Internet of Things, digitalization, automation, robotics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain tech, and so on will be adopted faster than we can imagine. This is sure to result in productivity improvement and overall welfare gains. Trade and investment. Emerging markets will enjoy a greater share of trade and investment than at present. Investment will follow in greater measure to Asia's growth economies, China, India, Indonesia, Vietnam, Bangladesh, for example. There may be more, but I think this will be greatly impactful. I have some concerns too. Governments will have to play a crucial role is not negating the gains of globalization through protectionist policies. Institutions are critical in the path of economic growth and social development. Protection of the independence of a critical institution is a must. To eradicate poverty, growth is most important, but the benefits of growth must follow equitably among the largest sections of the population. With this preamble, let me touch upon what we at World FZO are planning. We are brainstorming over the way forward for free zones, keeping in mind not only how best and how swiftly to revive activities, but also looking at a 10-year horizon to make free zones future ready and truly competitive in a sustainable way. Central to our schemes of things will be people. Every free zone related activity will be underpinned by compliance with the ESG principles, environmental, social, and governance. We want to ensure greater transparency in businesses and elimination of illicit trade, if any. Free zone already contribute to advancing many of the 17 sustainable development goals of the United Nations. We will attempt to make the contribution even more deep-rooted for the welfare of mankind. Let me sign off by wishing you all the best.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Since the day one, we launched this organization in May 2014. The main objective of this organization was, is, and will be always to increase the contribution of the free zones to the prosperity of the people surrounding the zones. This is why we always introduced ourselves like as a global initiative for local prosperity. Okay. We have prepared a very rich agenda, as I have mentioned it, 3 presentations. After each presentation, we will have a poll question to ask you and to let you answer on the spot some question related to the presentation. And starting now, please don't hesitate to share with us all your questions. We will answer them as soon as they come after each speaker, and we have dedicated an important piece of time at the end of this webinar to answer your question. Okay, we move to the first presentation, and in 2020, the World FZO organization have developed plenty of activities. We had webinars, global events, regional events. We do training. We published a lot of documentary research, and among other things, we developed and we ran a survey to analyze and qualify and quantify the impact of the pandemic and the free zone. Let me ask my colleague Saskia Mosley to brief us about this survey and what are the most important outcomes of this survey. Saskia, the floor is yours.
Welcome also from my side to this webinar. My name is Saskia Neucheberg. I am an economist at the Kiel Institute for the World Economy, and we are collaborating with the World Free Zones organization to conduct research on free zones and special economic zones. Let me briefly share my screen. Okay, so in my presentation, I will present some evidence from the Free Zones World Economic Barometer surveys, short the FWEB, on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on free zones and special economic zones around the globe. Let's dive right into it. For those of you who are not familiar with the survey, a brief introduction. So what is the FWEB? The Freezone World Economic Barometer is a quarterly survey-based sentiment indicator. So the World FZO, together with the Kiel Institute, conducts a survey every 3 months among representatives of free zones and special economic zones worldwide. And the survey only consists of qualitative and easy to answer questions, so it should probably take you less than 10 minutes to answer all of them. Usually the survey consists of 2 parts. The first part is the regular questions, which we ask every round of the FWEB, so we can compare the answers of the participants over time. And in addition, there is always a set of special questions to account for recent developments or policy changes. So the questions in the past were, for example, on the impact of the trade tensions on the free zones community, or how financing conditions are developing for the free zones. And at the moment, as you can imagine, the special questions mostly focus on the impact of the pandemic. I should also highlight that the answers of your free zone, if you participate in the survey, they will never be published individually, and the data that you enter is safe. So in our analyses, we only focus on aggregate developments at the global or at the regional level, but we will never disclose any information on an individual free zone. So why should you participate in the survey? As a participant, you get preferential access to a report where we analyze the results. And with this report, you can evaluate the relative performance of your free zone compared to other free zones worldwide. And while as a participant, you get preferential access to the report, it will later also be published, and thus the FWEB is also designed to increase the visibility of the free zones and of the free zone approach. If you want to know more about the FWEB, you can visit the website of the World Free Zones Organization. There you will find more information on the methodology, but also the past reports. And if you want to participate in the survey, but you're not yet on our email list, then just please send an email to fweb.worldfzo@ifw-kiel.de, and we will include you in our email list, and you will receive future invitations and future reports. So the results of the FWEB surveys that we conducted last year, they show that the economic sentiment in free zones worldwide dropped sharply when the COVID-19 pandemic started. So the left graph shows that at the beginning of 2020, both current economic sentiment and the expectations about the future developments were positive and rising. So in the surveys, we always ask how the current situation in your free zone is, and we also ask about your expectations about the next 3 months. So the free zones started on a positive note into the year 2020. However, in the second quarter, we see a sharp drop due to the outbreak of COVID-19. And since then, actually not much has changed regarding the current economic sentiment and expectation in free zones, implying that the free zones are still struggling to recover from the shock. And moreover, current economic conditions are poor regarding various dimensions of economic activity, including turnover, employment, investment, and profitability. So this you can see from the right-hand side graph. So the negative numbers here, they mean that the number of free zones reporting poor conditions exceeds the number of free zones reporting good conditions. And at the same time, expectations about the future are on average positive, hinting at prospects for recovery. So by which channels were the free zones affected at the start of the pandemic? This was one of the special questions we asked in a survey we conducted in April last year, so very shortly after the COVID-19 outbreak reached a global scale. And as you can see here, free zones in all world regions experienced limitations to activity due to measures to contain the virus. Around 2/3 of the FWEB participants reported that their free zone was partially or completely shut down for some time due to COVID-19, and the others, or also those that were shut down but then reopened, they experienced limits to production due to health measures that were implemented to contain the virus. And in addition, the drop in global demand, also supply chain disruptions, and the deterioration in the financial environment, they also weighed on economic activity in the free zones. Of course, there were some differences across regions. You can see that in the graph here. But overall, these four channels were decisive for all free zones. And as I said before, at the end of last year, free zones were still struggling to recover. Here you can see the answers to two special questions we were asking in the FWeb survey that we conducted in the beginning of December last year. And we also had asked them in the first half of 2020, and I included the answers from the first half of 2020 here as well for comparison. So the first question was, is activity in your free zone currently affected by the economic impact of the coronavirus pandemic? And the answers show that the vast majority of participants, they did report that their free zone is still negatively affected. So every fifth free zone even reported substantial negative effects. On a more positive note though, and as you can see in the right-hand side graph, almost 50% of the free zones saw at the beginning of December last year, first signs of improvement, up from less than 40% in June. So this shows that some free zones have started to recover and the number is rising. Another aspect we were interested in was which measures governments and the free zones themselves took to mitigate the negative impacts of the pandemic. And in this regard, the FWeb special questions show that only very few free zones received financial support from the government. 77% of the participants reported not to have received any financial assistance, and 17% report to have received financial support at the free zone level and 17% at the company level. And at the same time, the free zones and SECs themselves took a wide range of measures to mitigate the negative effects. So for example, around 2/3 provided COVID-19 related content and services to investors. More than 50% also increased digital services for firms located in the free zone, and they expanded their online presence and online investor acquisitions. And these measures will certainly also be a good investment for a post-COVID world. Around 25% of the free zones had to postpone or cancel plans to expand or modernize their free zone, and 10% had to lay off staff. Time to participate. The deadline is this Friday on the 26th of March. And those of you who are already on our email list but have not yet participated in the survey, they should have received a reminder email this morning. Those of you who did not receive anything, please just drop us an email on fweb.worldfzo@ifw-kiel.de, and we will send you a link to participate. So just say, I want to participate in the FWeb, and ideally name your free zone and the country or region that it's located in, and then you will get an invitation. And the more free zones that participate, the better, because we then better understand the current situation and the needs of the free zones in the recovery process. So your contribution will definitely make a difference, and I would be very happy about your participation. That's it from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Saskia, for this German time precision. You have been given 10 minutes and you spoke 9 minutes, 60 seconds. Let me see how the next speaker will manage. Free zones were affected in various channels, and free zones are still struggling. Let me share with the participant our first poll question. So the first poll question is, how much has economic activity decreased in your free zone in 2020 due to the consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic? Less than 25%, 26 to 50, 51 to 75, 76 to 100%, or you have seen an increase in your business. You have 1 minute to answer to this all questions. Less than 25%, 57% of the participants, between 26 to 50%, 27% of the participants, more than 50%, 0%, up to 100%, 0%. And I'm really very happy for the 17% that I have seen already an increase in their business. Okay, thank you very much. I insist to the participant, they can share with us already all their questions. And I just would like to mention that all the presentation we will share with you during this webinar will be shared with all the participants 24 hours after this webinar. Saskia, I have received directly here the first question to you. Have you seen that Freezone has been impacted more or less than the local economy of every country?
So we do have a question on that in the FWeb survey as well, where we asked the Freezone how they evaluate their relative situation compared with the situation in their host country. And there we do see that the Freezones report to have been affected more than the local economy in general, which could also be because Freezones are usually highly dependent on international trade and FDI. And we saw that go down quite sharply when the pandemic broke out in the first half of 2020.
Thank you very much. We have more questions, but let's keep them for the end for the Q&A session. In 2020, not only we have done this survey to qualify and quantify the impact of the pandemic on Freezone, but we have done a great and big effort to just identify suggestion and way forward. Let me welcome our Chief Knowledge Officer, Dr. Mohan Guruswamy, in order to inform you how we did it and what are the most important outcomes of this exercise.
A very warm welcome to all the participants in this event. The seminar is titled 2021 Freezones, the Way Forward. My presentation is going to focus on sharing with all of you some of the key major outcomes that we have seen from a mega event which World Freezone Organization conducted middle of last year called the New World Model. In the New World Model, we interviewed more than 30 global domain experts and asked them, after the pandemic, what is in store for us? How do they see the future? And what they think will be the new world model? And all of them gave a number of responses. And these global experts included domain experts from corporates established in free zones, from government officials and multilateral entities. So this time, we not just focused on free zone authority, but we went to the key stakeholders and asked them what they think is in store for us. And what I'm going to present to all of you today is a compilation of the key outcomes of the responses given by the experts. Let me share my screen with you. 2021 Free Zones, the Way Forward. This is focusing on a new world model. I need to give a little bit of background about the event, how it occurred. As all of you know, by the time the new decade started in 2020, entire world was affected by a major global health issue. And this in turn impacted the economic status also. And this resulted in a lot of uncertainty. The impact this had on the economy is multifold. In fact, the overall global wealth depleted, manufacturing and services slowed down substantially, economies reached a state of forced inactivity, and IMF had said there could be a loss to the tune of over $9 to $10 trillion. Some of the worst affected sectors were aviation, travel, tourism, and so on. Now, the number of actions or measures undertaken, apart from embargo on travel, social distancing, was governments gave a number of fiscal stimulus packages and accommodative monetary policies. Around that time, we conducted research, and our research showed that there could be three major challenges faced by world in general. One is the changing patterns of production network and global value chain, digitalization and the new industrial revolution, and sustainable development imperative. Now, the new changing patterns of production network refers to a lot of disruptions in logistics, in movement of goods. Supply chain involves movement of three things primarily. One is movement of goods, logistics. Two is movement of funds. When the end customer pays money, how much of it goes through the chain, and movement of information. In a way, all the three got disrupted. And this was leading to a kind of new competitiveness context. Traditionally, a manufacturing competes with other manufacturing, but as we go forward, we could see the chain, each chain is competing with other chains. And the business models are changing. And what we mean by network effect here is companies not only do planning enterprise-wide resource within the organization in step 3, but going forward, they need to do a supply chain-wide planning. And in future, the various chains will start communicating with each other and result in a complex network leading to Internet of Things. The digital revolution has caused a number of disruptions, but it also, in a way, acted as an accelerator. Now, it accelerated the entire digitalization process, whether it's academic institutions, schools and colleges, businesses, or government entities, quickly, in a very short time, shifted. And this shift will continue and will have a huge impact in terms of new innovations in autonomous vehicles, 3D printing, and so on. Now, the sustainability imperative is given a lot of importance by United Nations, and organizations need to keep in mind it's not only economic responsibility, but they also need to have environmental and social responsibility too, looking at what we call the triple bottom line. Now, how do we address these challenges? Our research showed you need a three-pronged approach to address these challenges. One, businesses need to do strategic reorientation. Two, the governments need to make policy reforms to be compatible with this new world model, or the new normal, as we could call in future. And of course, the educational institutions need to repackage their educational value to support the new world model. So in this presentation, we will focus on strategic reorientation. The regulatory bodies and educational institutions, we will keep them aside. Probably we will conduct in future research on these two and communicate with them too. But as far as businesses are concerned, which are established within Freezone, how could they reorient themselves for this new scenario? This is exactly the question that we asked the 30 plus global domain experts, distinguished top management leadership position holders from the multinationals established in free zones, from the multilateral organizations representing various bodies, and from government entities. So we divided industry into 10 sectors, and each sector we separately interviewed people and asked them what they think is in store for us and how we could proactively plan and prepare ourselves. And we got a lot of very, very interesting response. What is coming in the next slide after this is the 11 points, which I would call pearls of wisdom, coming from highly experienced, distinguished experts. And these could be the key actionable takeaways for all these stakeholders. If they address these takeaways, you will be better prepared, you will be more resilient, and you could overcome the challenges that the future has in store for us in a much healthier and better fashion. So it helps you to recover, and it helps you to plan and prepare in a proactive and healthy manner. So here are what I call the 11 pearls of wisdom coming from the 30 plus domain experts. Very quickly, I'll go through each one of them and then share with you a few more details of this in the remaining time. They say invest in digital. Obviously, the future is in digitalization. The current maxim is digitalize or diminish, digitalize or perish. Yeah. Unless an organization really quickly shifts onto this, survival could become difficult. In order to ensure that you don't face similar situations, or in case it occurs, face it more effectively, you need an enterprise-wide risk management. So you need to know how to manage risk, and you need to have how to manage your big data, the ability to compile and retrieve and use that data into meaningful information to take decisions. Uncertainty, of course, always affects the cash flow. So how do we have more effective and efficient management of the cash flow within the business? If any of your businesses have got disrupted, maybe you need to look at how to lay the bricks again and rebuild. Hygiene, going green is extremely important. One of the key messages which experts have given is going forward, we need to look at more collaborations rather than competition. How we could reach a win-win situation. How 1 + 1 could become more than 2, rather than each one competing with other. The key message there is collaborate, add value locally, at the same time have an impact on the global happenings. Inclusivity, the sustainability talks about equitable distribution of wealth. We need to ensure that whatever actions we take includes people from all strata of society. Focus on renewable energy, focus on ESG, a concept which is gaining a lot of significance, economic, social, and corporate governance perspective to investments as well as running the businesses. So to go a little more detail into this, one message they have given is unless you are already in it, try to enhance digitalization. If you are not, get into how to become tech ready. World Freezone Organization has an initiative called Freezone of the Future with 3 pillars and 9 key elements. One of them is called Smart Zone or Tech Ready Zone. So in which all these 9 elements, we have certifications. So Tech Ready Zone certification or Smart Zone certification is one of them. You could go through this and ensure you are prepared, better prepared for future. Going green, we should look at not only making money, but ensuring that we utilize the resources of the world, which are finite, in the best possible way. We should not abuse, misuse, or overuse, and we are responsible for leaving a green, clean planet for future generations. So by going green, you are being more eco-friendly. United Nations Global Compact and also Global Reporting Initiative, GRI, advises that in your annual report, you not only give KPIs on your economic indicators, revenue generated, profitability, shareholder value, but you also say what have been your carbon emissions, what kind of control measures have you taken, what kind of KPIs you have to ensure you're contributing towards the green economy. Going forward, more and more investors will be looking for free zones which have gone green. And this will become an imperative in future, unless it's already. So be innovative, whether it is your marketing strategy, whether it is your incentive schemes, whether your communication about what you are doing, the overall business models need to be revisited. You may be successful last 10, 15, 20 years using a specific approach. There is no guarantee that it will carry forward and the same approach will make you successful in the next 15 years. With the kind of changes happening in the environment, you need to be innovative constantly. We also have a certification on how to become innovative zone. We have a certification on green zone. Be socially responsible. When we talk about corporate social responsibility, it's not only what we are giving to society, but there is also something called internal social responsibility. The businesses need to look, do you have the right kind of environment? Do you have the right kind of policies? Are the people treated well within the organization? Do you have welfare schemes? So companies need to be responsible socially towards community and society outside, as well as towards within the organization with its employees. So be socially responsible with all the stakeholders was one of the very important messages from these domain experts, whether it's suppliers, customers, including competitors, have fair competition. And of course, within, look at employees, look at staff, look at workers. Because things are changing, a key point communicated is you need to constantly be reskilling and upskilling your employees. Focus on capability development. Foresee emerging trends, anticipate future expectations of customers. What customers needed and expected in the past need not remain the same. So we need to constantly keep our ears to the ground. We need to be constantly keeping a watch in the market and see, are there any changing expectations? And plan and proactively prepare for these changing expectations. And one very important message, I think I already mentioned once before, is look beyond competition. Cooperative mechanisms, whether at national level organizational level, supply chain level with your supply chain members. The more we cooperate, the more we synergize, globally, everyone would prosper collectively. Effective corporate governance, we talked about ESG. You not only look at economic sustainability, you also look at environmental sustainability and your social sustainability. And healthy governance mechanism will contribute. Safety and security is a very important issue, which will be actually the focus of our next annual conference coming around the corner, where ensure that all businesses are legitimate within the business, ensure you are certified to see that nothing illicit or untoward happens within the organization and within the free zone. So safety and security, all of them emphasized, is a very important element. Formulate an ERM, enterprise-wide risk management policy and strategy, and ensure if you face any risks in future, you are able to face it much more effectively. Yeah. Of course, in tough times, you need to continue reviewing your business processes. How do we decrease our expenses? How do we become more efficient? How do we become more resilient? How can I reduce my costs and simultaneously increase my output and revenue generation? Productivity and efficiency improvement is a very important element as emphasized by experts. We have highlighted what is in store in future. You need to be ready by following these 11 pearls of wisdom. And of course, in this game, there will be winners and losers, but winners always look for opportunity in such a situation, and losers look for only excuses. So these are some of our recommendations to going forward to address the issues that are faced by organizations. I thank you, and if there are any questions, we are happy to take. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mohan, for this 20 minutes of very rich presentation. Personally, from the 11 outcomes you mentioned, I have 3 of them very close to my personal thoughts and my personal behavior, the number 6 and 7 and 8. And now by coincidence that we are celebrating the new Persian year, 1400, number 7 and 8 and 6 has a very mystic significance and importance. Number 6, you said collaborate, do not compete, and I strongly believe on it. We have a very global and much more common challenges, and the only way for the way forward and the only way to sort out the situation, it is to cooperate. We need more than ever a strong community and strong stakeholder to the community of the free zones. Number 7, it is add local value globally. Here I'm partially, Mohan, answering the question that was to you from Mr. Andrea Orortia. It is globalization will be always there. It will not disappear. Global value chain will be always there. It will be much more integrated, much more secure. And the big role that the free zone can play, it is if you are part of a global value chain, the best you can contribute to your own country, it is to add as much local value and improve the productivity as you can. This is the way you can be part of this new global value chain or globalization. The last one, it is restructure for inclusivity. You know, Mohan, that this current pandemic supposed a lot of speeding process, a lot of new element, digitalization, new work new way of working, new regulations, new incentive. Let's do our best that every single person, every single worker, every single business is included within whatever we are implementing. Let me share with the participant the poll question related to your presentation. What do you expect economic activity in your free zone to have fully recovered from COVID-19 crisis? Already recovered, 1 to 1 year, 1 year to 2 years, and over 2 years. 1 minute to answer the questions. 14%, I'm very happy, are lucky that have already recovered. 34% till between 0 to 1 year, really concerning, up to 43% from 1 to 2 years, and over 2 years, 9% of the participation. Thank you. Dr. Mohan, I have already from the participant 2 questions for you. You can answer one now and keep another one for later. The first one is asking what is the future of globalization and the future of the global value chain. The second one is coming from me. From time to time, the moderator can ask. So if I push you from this 11 outcomes and all these measures that you have shared with us to select 3 of them, what can be your choice? Let me, before giving you the floor to answer this question, let me say to Sibilla Sartori, who asked about a new technology opportunity and the use of the 4th industrial revolution, to tell her that I committed that all the presentation of the speaker will be shared with you. Dr. Mohan, in the first part of his presentation, spoke about a new technology that will be used in this new old model. And you will receive a copy of this book that we have edited, which is The Future of Industry. We analyze 10 sectors, and you will see in each one of them the technology, opportunity, and the 4th industrial revolution use. Dr. Mohan, which question you will answer now, please?
Sure. Thank you so much. Very good questions, both on globalization and the ranking or prioritizing. Quick one on the prioritization. I would reckon, of course, all, as I said, are pearls of wisdom. All are important. But I think being innovative, think out of the box, think differently, come up with new ways of working is definitely one. Digitalization is almost a must now for all businesses. You need to become smart zones, and the sustainability perspective or imperative, as I said, is important. Businesses should not look only at making money, but they need to be responsible environmentally as well as socially. So these are the 3. The other one on globalization, if I may answer now, or shall I do it later?
Let's do it later when we give the floor to people to put more questions, if you don't mind. So please, I would like now to move to my presentation, which will be speaking about what the World FZO organization have prepared and planned as activities towards a better future for our stakeholders. Let me share with you my screen. So what we have planned and prepared for 2021 are mainly 2 elements. One is a solid structure. Second is a new and renewed set of services and benefit for our community and stakeholders. Regarding the structure, we have developed a very strong, professional, and efficient network of regional offices. Let me mention them because they have done a great job and they will continue contributing to whatever this organization will be doing. On the top of the headquarters based in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. I'm working in Dubai. We have 11 regional offices. Let me mention them. We partnered with Adozona, Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic for North Latin America, with Bahia Blanca Free Zone, the province of Buenos Aires, Argentina for South Latin America, Africa Economic Zones Organization based in Tanja, Morocco, is helping us with Africa and supported by the office we have in Abuja, Nigeria, managed by Nigeria Export Processing Zone Authority, with the support and the help with Jordan Investment Authority. We established a regional office in Jordan, in Amman, Jordan, for the Middle East. Europe, our regional offices is based in Consorcio Zona Franca de Barcelona, Catalonia, Spain, and it is supported for South Europe and the Balkanic area with the regional office based in Pirot Free Zone, Serbia. We established a regional office in Hyderabad, India, with our Phoenix Free Zone, covering the Indian subcontinent, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Burundi, and our colleague from Moldova Free Zone in Kazakhstan are supporting our activities in the CIS countries. We established regional offices with our partner RTM Media in Zhuhai, close to Macau, and Hong Kong in China, just for the Chinese market. And we just opened it in Singapore, regional offices with our partner, Kavu Limited. Our plan, it is to reach in 2021, 15 regional offices. What a regional office can do for you in this, let's say, difficult time. They will implement each one of the new and renewed services that I will mention later. Secondly, we strongly believe that Free Zones has global challenges to face, and this is what the headquarter is handling. But we also strongly believe that regional Free Zone have regional challenges that they have to face. We have the Mercosur, the EFTA, the NEFTA, the European Union, the African Union, the Africa Free Trade Area, the ASEAN, the GCC country, you name it. I don't know if you are aware that bilateral and multilateral trade agreement, we have more than 600 of them. And we need to support our members and we need to support our stakeholders to regionally manage this and face this. On the top of it, and most importantly, if you want and you are a member and a stakeholder of this organization, you want to connect, you want to do business, you want roadshow in each one of this region, you are the most welcome to contact directly this efficient structure or link the headquarters, and we will put you into contact with the right person. Secondly, we established a national contact point structure. A national contact point is our knowledge arm. We collect data, we do training, we look for improvement of the capacity building, we do surveys, we reach the universities, we do plenty of research, and the national contact point are our arm to collect, create, and share this knowledge. We have 41 of them, and our plan, it is to reach by the end of the year 50 national contact points. In the last year, we have prepared a tool for you, call it, not yet session, a tool for you, call it the Atlas, which is the national country report. In each country, we collected the economic environment of the country, the investment environment, the incentives, the rules, the regulation, the list of the free zones, and how to connect, and what are the offering of these free zones, and how to be, what kind of investment they need. You need in your day-to-day work to do permanently benchmarking, not only for your day-to-day work, for your day-to-day work and for your strategic planning. Our national contact point is there to update this information and to help you with this exercise of benchmarking. We have also 6 ambassadors, and the regime of free zones should be continuously supported by a lobbying activity that is developed by the headquarters, but also is developed with 6 ambassadors, 6 prestigious persons of our industry, who are helping us to lobby with multilateral organizations, local, regional, federal, or whatever governments, in order to promote and defend the interests of the free zone regime. This is the first block: solid, professional, and efficient structure. The second block of elements we have prepared are a set of new and renewed services, which we have grouped them or divided them in 4 blocks: the Free Zone Laboratory, the Free Zone Institute, the Free Zone Academy, and the Free Zone Network. Let me go one by one to explain what they are. The Free Zone Institute is our arm to develop intelligence, publication, and certification. Last year, we published 10 industry reports: automotive, finance, aviation, workforce, health. So each sector, we analyzed the current situation of the sector, what is the impact on it, and what is the future of the sector, independently if it is within the free zones or outside the free zone. We will continue with this sector, with this exercise, publishing more industry report, and we will include much more sector. As I mentioned, we will work with our 50 national contact points to develop the counter report. We have plenty of publication in 2020. I will show you later in the next slide, has been an extremely important year of publication. Certification, I will never insist enough in our flagship project: safety and security within the free zone. Safety for people, safety for good, safety for intellectual property, and safety for money. No more illicit trade within the free zone. No more, let's say, counterfeit or money laundering. We are a clean entities, and if few of them are doing noise, we are there to say we are safe, secure, and compliant. Dr. Mohan spoke about our green certification. He's the coordinator of this element, and it's clear the environment and the climate change is a major challenge, and we are here to help you to be certified green. One of the most important outcomes of this pandemic is speeding the digitalization of the free zones or any other entity or any other production sector or economic sector. Our next webinar, which will be in April, will speak how the World FZO organization is supporting the digitalization of free zone through 3 ways. We will announce an online management system of the free zone, completely online management of your day-to-day work, human resource, even renting the parking, licensing the companies, filing companies, whatever you have to do in your day-to-day will be managed online. And hopefully, very soon, you can online manage and register a company with your mobile. The second way of the level of digitalization, we need to integrate free zones within their ecosystem. We need to link the free zones with the customs authority, with the economy, with the Minister of Economy or the Minister this managing free zone, with Chamber of Commerce and the other element of the economy. And third, we dedicated 2020 to a very interesting exercise. We worked on defining how a digitally and tech-ready zones will look like in 10 years. Today, we know exactly a tech-ready zones will look like in 10 years. Join us, we will, let's say, rate you, compare you with what is this tech readiness of the zones we will share with you a gap analysis. What do you have to do in order to be digitally ready? The next set of services will be our, this is just, yes, the next slide. This is, I said that we'll show you some element of our publication. You receive our weekly newsletter. We publish it 2 or 3 books, Value Creation, a Free Zone, The Future of Industry. We have a scientific magazine, which is quarterly, our bulletin, which are 3 to 5 high-level articles of opinion, and we will move to transform it in a monthly one. And I'm proud and honored with our collaboration with the Kiel Institute of the World Economy. We develop with them this FWeb, but once a year we develop the Outlook report of the Free Zone, and we will be having a new one in the future and within this year. I spoke about my 3 certification, the Safe Zone, the Green Zone, and the Tech Ready Smart Zone. In the next slide, you will see that all the 3 processes have been put in one single portal called Certification Hub. Join us, Adir, you will be safer, you will be greener, and you will be smarter. In the next slide, I will show you our second block or third block of activity, which is a Free Zone Academy. Since till 2019, we visited almost plus 60, 70 countries, and we developed presentially plenty of training, 20 topics that we trained people of them. Today, we move it online, and I'm proud to announce that we are about sharing again with you the opportunity to have the Free Zone online management diploma. I hope that by September, October, we will be able to announce it. But in the next slide, I will announce the first training seminar, which will take place as mentioned in the next slide. The next seminar, which will be Leadership in Adversity, it is one-day seminar developed and coordinated by Dr. Mohan, in which we train C-level and manager of the Free Zone how to manage and to lead their entity within this adverse environment. In the next slide, I move to the next set of our services, which is our Free Zone Laboratory. The current pandemic situation changed everything in our work. The way we attract investors, the way we implement them, the way we take care of them. As Mohan said, there are plenty of new exercise in strategic planning, in putting KPIs and performance in the operation. You need advisory, you need support. We have established tools to support you in this sense. We created a pool of the best worldwide experts in each sector of our activities. Just be in touch with us and I will let you know how to proceed. In the next slide, I will show you the last set of services we have established, and this is the Free Zone Network. We have 2 global events, which I will describe immediately after in my next slide. But as I mentioned, regional offices are there because we have regional events, and even we have some country challenges. So regional event through our regional offices, and starting the month of April, the World FZO will launch a new initiative called Policy Dialogue. It is a virtual meeting in which country by country, we will put on one side of the table all the stakeholders of the Free Zone, and the other side, World FZO expert, in order to analyze and identify country by country what are the challenges of the Free Zones. In the next slide, I will share with you the 2 big events we are preparing for 2021. Our global annual event will be from the 21st to the 24th of June. And the topic we will be discussing will be Free Zone as engine of safety and compliance towards clean trade and secure future. No more at all illicit trade, no more illicit activity within the free zone. The only extraterritoriality the free zone consider is the one related to customs work. Out of this, any illicit activity is not allowed within the free zones. And the topic will be dealt by the headquarters through 5 panels: how the global value chain is more secure and more compliant, relationship between free zone and customs authority, how digitalization is helping us within the safety and security, the measures that we can use to quantify this damage, and how illicit activities are damaging the contribution of the free zones to the social development goals. On the top of it, our regional offices will have their day. So we will have 1 day for Europe, 1 day for the Americas, 1 day for Africa, and 1 day for Asia, in which they will analyze elements related to this topic, but also challenges related to their region. This will be 21st to the 24th of June. 15 to 17 of September 2021, we will have the 2nd edition of our extremely successful initiative called the New World Model. Just to remind you that last year we had over 50 speakers, 10 industry analyzers, almost 5,000 participants from more than 150 countries that attended that event. And the idea, we identified 10 sectors, perhaps we will increase more. We identify the 4 to 5 most renowned persons in each sector, and we interview them, and we will share the result about what they think after 1 or 2 years of the pandemic, the situation in their sector, and what is the future of the sector. I kept within the network for another extremely important initiative. And if I said, let's cooperate, not compete, this is a game changer. We will, with the help of all the free zones, we will create Omnia, a business-to-business platform, which is, let me say, an Amazon for the free zones company. We have 3 million companies within the free zone. We will help them to contact, we will help them to speak, but we will help them also in a safe, secure, and compliant way to do business together. I kept, at least for the last but not least, an extremely important new initiative of our organization. I said we have 3 million companies within the free zones. More than 75 to 80% of these companies are small and medium enterprises. With our partner potential and multilateral, multinational companies, which will increase as companies, we created a library, we created resources of training, capacity building, support to improve the human resource management, support to improve the strategic planning, support to improve the way you export and the need to export. There are plenty of training and even the capacity to be in touch with very specific expert for very specific topic. Every free zone can be in touch with us to offer directly to their companies all these tools, but at the same time, they can be also in touch with us. We can tailor them to their need, including more experts and including more capacity building. We have prepared a lot, but much more is coming. Let me stop here. This is what we have prepared for 2021. And thank you very much for your attention to my presentation. As I have done with the other speakers, I would like to share with you a poll question related to my participation, and after we move to the Q&A. Can we? Okay, so the question, how could the World FZO organization assist in your recovery? Through our Freezone Laboratory, Freezone Institute, Freezone Academy, and Freezone Network, all the above. This is a multi-choice question, you have 1 minute to answer. So 21% of the participants are interested in our laboratory advisory and consulting, 18% in our Freezone Institute, 21% in our Freezone Academy, and 24% in our Freezone Network. I'm happy that 50% are interested in all our activity. We reached already more than 1 hour of this webinar. Let's move directly to the Q&A. As I mentioned it, I have one question to Dr. Mohan about globalization, regionalization, and what is the future of the global value chain. I see also 2 questions for Saskia. Is there any difference on when it comes to the impact of pandemic on sector levels or region levels? Dr. Mohan, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful way forward and activities. When it comes to globalization, usually a good question asked in many forums, is it the end of the road for this? What is happening in most countries, governments have domestic socio-political compulsions, and they need to balance it with international obligations. Sometimes they tend to tilt towards the domestic concerns and try and look at more internally. And this has to some extent, of course, affected, but definitely it will get revived as we move forward. Even we have heard from 30, 40 experts that we need to even globally cooperate amongst all of us going forward. I think one phenomenon we could see is much more of regionalization to begin with, where there could be more investment, trade, movements, interaction within a given region to begin with, and then probably at a later date go back on the road to globalization. Doctor?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm just checking if there are plenty of other questions, but really we started running very late and very short in time. Before giving the floor to Saskia, let me answer Mohammed Hockey. Yes, enforcement, compliance are the future, and we will share with you our thought about this element. Saskia, please.
Yes, so regarding sectoral differences, we do have a question in the FWeb survey regarding how companies and sectors within the free zone are affected to a similar or to a different extent. And we actually see a lot of difference between different firms and different sectors. In the free zones, or the free zone representatives report a lot of differences. We do not ask specifically about specific sectors in the FWeb. I told you before that the survey should be answerable in less than 10 minutes, and this would maybe be a little bit too much. But we do see heterogeneity, and in the beginning of the pandemic, you all know, global trade and investment basically collapsed, and industry was also heavily affected due to supply chain disruptions, whereas now industry is still, global industrial activity is still on a path of recovery, even though we have renewed outbreaks in some regions, but it is more into contact intensive services that are affected. So, for example, free zones that are heavily reliant on travel will still be heavily affected. And I think there was one question also about regional differences, right?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so there we actually see also that the patterns that we see in the global economy are also quite reflected in the free zones community. So, for example, the free zones in Asia reported to see first signs of improvement, also first in line with also the global recovery process. We do have some regional analyses also in the FREP reports, not every time, but sometimes we zoom in a little bit into different regions, and you can also find them in these FREP reports on the website of the World Free Zones organization if you're interested.
Thank you so much, Saskia. I'm really so sorry we reached the end of this webinar. My commitment with the last question that will be answered by email, and for Juan Barrios, our next webinar in April will answer your question in which technologies will be the priority for Freezone to embrace. Let me first of all thank all the participants for their time and patience with us. It has been a very successful webinar from when it comes to the participation and the really number and quality of questions we have received. Saskia, thank you very much for your support and for continuing this collaboration with our organization. Your institute is one of the most prestigious research on economy. I will never thank enough Dr. Mohan, my friend and colleague and Chief Knowledge Officer, for his continuous commitment and contribution. Thank you very much. I would like to ask the speaker to remain online. Thank you everyone for your time, for participating, and I confirm my commitment that in 24 hours after the end of this webinars, you will receive a copy of all the presentation and some, let's say, the most important publication that we have developed last year. Thank you very much. Muchísimas gracias, and see you very soon.